Hello student, welcome to online tutorial session. In the previous lecture we have discussed about the chapter number 1. So today we will start the chapter number 2. So the name of the chapter number 2 is the data processing and the computer organization. Okay, in the data processing part we will learn about that how the data we are given to the system as an input and how the inputs are processed and we are getting the outputs. Okay, so in the computer organization part we will learn about the total system, about the total system, what are the input devices, what are the output devices, what are the processing unit in it, and how the memory is working, how the communication has been built up between the different devices. So we will learn on all those things in this chapter. So first we will learn about the data and the informations part. So we have to know the term of data. First we have to understand the meaning of the term data and the meaning of the term information. So what is the definition for data? So you can say it is basically a collection of facts or raw materials. Okay, so what is a good example if you are giving? So you know the survey is going on for a particular product, it is good or bad, something like that. So when the survey is going on, so you have to fill up a survey form. Okay, so survey form is consisting of your name, your age, your gender, your particular choice, your feedback and everything. So this form, actually survey form, you can call it as a raw material because there are different datas are there. Okay, so when this particular data, okay, when this particular data is grouped or you can say grouped for group in future, after grouping this, in future we will use it. Okay, so after grouping of data, if you have processed the data, so that data will give you a meaningful interpretations. Okay, so that meaningful interpretation of a data is known as the information. So first of all, raw materials is, you can say, data, and when the data goes through the processing, so after processing we are getting some group data, so that data is very meaningful because we in future we are using these things. So that's why that point of time data becomes the information when it is processed. Okay, and the conversion between the data to information, the whole process is included, that is known as the data processing. Okay, so the data processing is the process of converting data into informations. Okay, so we have learned about this definition parts. Now we try to differentiate between these two. The question, very important question is there, that differentiated between data and information. It is year after year it is coming as a short question type, was a 2 marks question it will come. So what is data? Data represents a raw material or on which the computer works, and information, this represent the processed raw material or data. So data is a starting material of the data processing and information is the end product of the data processing. And number third, the data in the system can be the information from another system. Okay, for example, that is a number is given, that is 02091 can be a data for a system which processes this value to get the date of birth. Okay, so an information is processed by one system can serve as a data for the another system. So after processing the data, we are getting the date of birth, and from this date of birth we can calculate the present age of a person. So this is how the data and the informations are different. Okay, so this question is very important. This comes at what is the difference between data and the information part. Okay, so what are the qualities information must have? That it must be a meaningful. Why it is you can say it is a meaningful one? If you cannot making out something from after processing the data, so it is a useless one. Okay, so it must convey something, a meaningful things. Okay, so that's why number 2, it's contained a surprise element. So surprise element, it should give you some new concept. Okay, that is a thing. And reinforce existing knowledge, that the new information should reinforce or add to already existing knowledge. So whatever knowledge you are getting, it will give you some extra informations about it. Okay, okay. Number 4th point is rectify the misconception. If there is any problem is there, anything is there, you can handle it. Okay, and there are different type of information is there. International information is there, then the national information is there, corporate information, departmental information, and individual information. This part is the level of information is not required actually. Okay, okay. So now this part is very important, that is the you can say the data processing part. Okay, so data from the raw materials for a data processing system. Okay, data is a, in case of data processing, data is a form of a raw material. Okay, and now we will learn about the different types of data is available. Okay, so first type of data is a numeric type of data. Numeric like means it is an integer type, like whole number like 86 minus 326, etc. Okay, next one type is floating point. Floating point is means that there is a point in it, that is 1.73 into 10 to the power 5 or 0.68, etc. Okay, number 2 is the alphabetic data, like we are using the character or text over here. Okay, that is from A to Z, or capital A to Z or small a to Z if you are including. Okay, now third number is that alphanumeric data. Alphanumeric data means here we are including text as well as the numeric data. This type of this is a collection of you can say characters. So this is known as a string, that is 22 by mg wrote, something like that. 22 is a numeric data and mg wrote is there, that is a textual data. So it is a combination of this. Number 4th is Boolean data. So Boolean data, you know, that is it is a logical one means true and logical 0, when false means 0. So true and false is a Boolean data type. Okay, now date and time data is there, that is a numeric one. Video data is there, audio data is there, graphical data is there, like this is a data related to image and drawing. Okay, these are the different types of data are there. Okay, so we have done this part. Now we are moving to the data processing part. Okay, so what is data processing part and how it is? Okay, so data generally data processing cycle is also known as the IPO cycle. Okay, you are able to see this one, input, process and output. Okay, that is why it is known as the IPO cycle. So data processing cycle, or it can give you in question paper, it may comes at different define the IPO cycle. So it is same, data processing cycle and IPO cycle both are the same. Okay, so now how input part. So now we will talk about the input part of the cycle. Okay, so what is input? Okay, during this input phase, the raw data, again I am saying it is a data part. Again in this system, whatever we are providing in, it is data, not the information. It is a raw material part. Okay, so during this phase, the raw data is to be processed in the input and computer system by means of various input device. So we are using the various input devices, like keyboard is there, mouse is there, scanner is there. Okay, through which or you can say using this, we are giving the or fitting the data into the system. Number two is in this next part in this cycle is the process part. So process is means, so this phase is used actually to modify or process the data to get the desired information. This is how actually conversion is take place from the data to informations one. Okay, so to convert from data to information, several steps are there that we need to follow. So first step is the record one. So this involves transfer and sorting of an input data for using during this processing. So which part of the data we have inputted it is required for the further processing, so we will record it. Okay, we will sort according to it. Number two is the duplicate. Okay, so this involves making copies of the input data for multiple uses. It may happen that whatever input we have given, okay, for a particular process we have sorted, but we have to go for the modification one, but again unsorted data we require for another processing part. So that's why we make a duplicate copies of this input. Okay, number third is the verify. So the recorded data is checked for any error before it is processed. So before it is going for the processing part, again it is checked that any error is there or not. Okay, number fourth is the classify. So the input data may need to be classified into various categories for proper processing. Okay, suppose if you are say that the student data, so student can be a primary class of student or secondary class of student. Suppose from 1 to 4 if I am getting the data for the student who are in class 1 to 4, so we will separate the data and group the data for as a primary student information, primary class student, and from 5 to 10 we are getting the information that would be a secondary one. From class 11 12 student data I am getting, then we are grouped into the higher secondary. In this way we are classifying the data, classification, or you can say grouping of data, the same kind of a thing. Okay, now the next part is sort. Okay, so the processing may also involve sorting the data in a logical sequence. Okay, here the sorting and the previous one, when we are recording or in case of record part, we also sorting and storing the part. That is a different. Here we are sorting on the depending of the logical situation. It means which part of the data will come first and which part of the data is comes later on for the modification or for the processing one. Okay, in this way, or like we can say that suppose primary section I am dealing with, but in class 1 there are 3 sections are there. So section A, B, C. So we cannot sort the data for C first or process first on the class C. So first we have to process class 1 data, class 1A section, class 1B section, now class 1C section, like this. Okay, now is merge. Okay, so often 2 or more sets of data may need to be merged together. Okay, so get the total information, we sometimes it required to merge the data. Next is the calculate. It involves a various numerical operation that it may happen that here the numerical calculation is involved. Okay, it's not all the time there is a calculation is involved over here. Okay, now coming to the next one, that is the search. This operation is used to look for a particular information from the total data set. And now the last last thing is the output in the IPO cycle. The process data needs to be output and return back to the user. So this output can either be displayed to the user or taken in the form of printout, or can be stored for the further processing. If the processing is so long, then whatever output I'm getting from the first process, it is stored because it was required for the second phase of processing. Okay, so this is actually the IPO cycle or data processing cycle. This is also a very important question. Question are coming from this part also. Okay, now we are moving to the next part. Okay, the next part is computer system. So you know the definition of a computer. Okay, so what kind of a work actually we will perform through this using computer? So all arithmetical and logical operation. Okay, it can be used as a mass storage unit. We can store the informations over here. Okay, and also computer must have an input output device, otherwise through which we will feed the information to the system, and how we will getting the output. So it must have the input output device, and computer must able to decide. It means that it must have some decision making control it must have. Okay, otherwise there is a no needs of using the computer. So these are the characteristic computer system must have. Okay, so depending upon this, first we have to understand how the computer is made up of. Computer is made up of a combination of a hardware, software, and the firmware and the liveware. So what are those we need to understand? Okay, so first we need to understand that is what is hardware. Okay, an input device, processing device, memory storage, and output device from the basic building. It is actually the basic building blocks of the computer processing. So these are collectively known as the hardware. Okay, in childhood you have learned that the devices we can touch and feel, that are known as the hardware. Okay, here if you look, that is a hardware definition is given: the basic physical building block of computer are collectively called hardware. If the question is come what is hardware, just write down this and give the example like input device, output device, and processing devices. Okay, as well as the memory devices you can give. Okay, now what is software? A sequence of instruction is given to the computer to make the hardware work in a language that a computer understands is known as a software. So software, you can say it is actually set of instruction is known as the programs. So software is consisting of this programs only. So it is a sequence of, why it is in sequence? Because one after one we have to execute it. So it is a sequence of instructions given to a computer, so that it actually actually give you the input through the hardware, so the hardware can work and we are getting the work or task to be done. Okay, this is the information about the software. Now we coming to the firmware. So what is firmware? In case a software is permanently stored in a computer in a read-only type memory, then such software is called the firmware. Or why it is a read-only type means that from the software you can get the information, you cannot change it. Okay, you cannot write anything. Okay, it is a permanently stored software. Okay, so permanently stored software which is in read-only mode, you cannot change, you cannot write, that software is known as the firmware. Okay, now coming to the part of the liveware or humanware. Apart from the computer hardware and software, there is a third entity without which a computer will not run. That is called liveware or humanware. Okay, so now we will understand so what are the devices are associated with. Okay, what are the hardware devices are there? From this chart you are able to know a computer system is having input output device, a memory unit is there, processor unit is there, storage, and the communication bus. About this four you have previously learned about, you previously know. Okay, but about this part, that is the communication bus, is totally new to you. Okay, Okay, again the processing part is divided into two parts, that is a control unit, or not in a two part, it is a combination of a two part, that is a control unit and arithmetic logic unit. Okay, okay, another one is a memory unit. Okay, memory unit is also connected with the storage devices, and through this input output device is also connected. And another part is that the communication bus actually the set up the communication between the input output device, storage and the processing one. Okay, so one by one we will learn about these devices, okay, about these particular devices. So first we will learn about input devices. Okay, so input devices, what is input device? So input devices help us to interact with the computer and accept the data and the instruction and the instruction from the user. Okay, so what are the common input device we are having? We are having the common one is the keyboard. Okay, here the most common input device is the keyboard one. Okay, there are different type of keyboard is available. Usually the keyboard is connected using PS/2 or USB port. There is a USB port is there, through the wiring it is connected, or there's a wire is having the USB port and we are connected. Like this way we can connect. Okay, so again we have the thing, we have a format. Okay, so you are able to see that is the quadri format. So how alphabets are aligned in the keyboard, this is the form of the quadri format. Okay, what type of key is you are able to see over here? Okay, it is a alphabet keys are there, that is having A to Z values, uppercase and lowercase both we can use. The digit value 0 to 9, it is comes under this numeric data part here. Here the numeric part. Okay, next is a punctuation mark is also there, using shift key or alt key, using the different keys we can use. Okay, comma, full stop, double quotation, plus, minus, into. Okay, different modifiers are there. Now lock key is there, number lock key is there, scroll lock key is there. Next is the navigation key. Okay, navigation key is that arrow key, arrow overheads you are able to see. Okay, these are the navigation keys. Okay, these are the navigation key. Now is the edit key, that is enter is there, the enter, backspace is there. Okay, normal space is there. So these are the edit keys are there. Okay, here insert is there, delete is there. So these are all the edit keys. Now function keys, F1 to F12, all this 12 button on the upper of the keyboard is known as the functional key. Each of this key having this multiple functions. Okay, multiple, but the different functions each of these are having. So this is the set of the keys we are using. Okay, learn about the mouse. Okay, after the keyboard, the next most useful input device actually is the mouse. Okay, it is a point and the click input device which is used to point or select any item on a graphical user interface. So it is a small object. Its bits look like a mouse. It can be moved along the surface. It consists of one or more button which can be clicked for the various functions. It can be a wired one, it can be a wireless one also. You are able to see the wireless and wired mouse. Okay, from the picture you can see wireless, wire. Okay, so wire and wireless both are using. Here also USB port is there to connect. Okay, and two types of mouse is available. One is the mechanical mouse and another one is the optical mouse. A mechanical mouse uses the ball and the roller arrangement. Okay, to determine the position of the mouse pointer. An optical mouse, on the other hand, use the LED light source and senses the scan surface where the mouse is placed. Okay. Now next one is the scanner one. Okay, scanner is a input device which can be used to input an image or a document and store them in the digital format. Okay. So there are three different type of scanners are there. One is the flat bedded, second is the handheld, and third is the drum scanner. So flat scanner is the most widely used scanner type. This type of a document is placed under the glass bed, which is scan the head moves using a rotating blade. You are able to see this kind of a thing in your printer. Along with the printer, this kind of a scanner we are getting. Okay. So light reflected from the document, it is focused by a lens and special sensor which convert the light into the electrical signal. This is how we can convert to the raw digital data and send it to computer for proper storage. Now it is the handheld one. Handheld one is something different, that there is a you can say it is a pen like structure. Okay, if you are actually go through and place this pen type of things on a document, it is easily scanned and stored and give you the more good quality. And now is the drum scanner. These are the actually basically used in the publishing industry. It can scan highly detailed image. Document to scan are mounted on a glass cylinder. A sensor in the center of the cylinder has sensed the light and reflected the document and converted into the electrical signals. Okay, so the most used one is the flat bedded scanner because it is actually coming along with the printer one. Okay. Okay, but input device is not yet finished, but we will finish in this later.